Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Emily Winslow and I'm an artist who loves to help others learn watercolor and find joy in painting. And this painting is inspired by my very last day in corporate America when I was going to FedEx to turn in my laptop to never see it again. As I was leaving FedEx, there was the most beautiful sunset, and I'm going to loosely refer to that picture because it was a super special day becoming an artist full time. So I hope you enjoy learning how to paint this sunset right along with me. Let's go ahead and grab our paintbrushes and get started. Okay, let's go over what materials we're using in today's painting. So I love to use this Winsor & Newton watercolor palette. You can find it on Amazon in my storefront. And I do add white paint to the palette. It doesn't come with it, but I tend to use a lot of white paint. And then for the brushes, I'm using a size 12 and a size 6. And for my watercolor paper, I like to use the brand Strathmore. I cut it to a size 5 by 5 inch for today's painting. So again, you can find everything in the description on this video. So let's go ahead and do a little sketch before we start painting. So this is going to be a simple, like I said, just a simple sunset. I want it to be more trees and sky. So we're not even going to do a horizon line. We're just going to do a tree line. And I'm just going to make a really uneven line here for the trees. So I'm going up and making some fir trees, maybe here in the middle, and just some a lot lower. We just want this in general to be very uneven. You don't need to be too exact with where you're putting them. Just make sure it's not a straight line. I'm just gonna leave a little bit of a white space around it, so we don't need to go all the way to the edge. Unless you'd like to, you're welcome to do that. And I think it would be really pretty if we just have like one of those telephone poles with the lines. I think it kind of just makes it look a little bit more realistic, kind of Midwestern vibes. I'm from Indiana, so it reminds me of a typical sunset you'd see in Indiana. Maybe make this one a little bit shorter, as if it's going out further into the distance, like that. You're making a little cross at the top and little lines that go from each to each. I'm gonna make this tree a little bit bigger here in the middle. Okay, so we don't need to do too much else with the sketching. I think that is just gonna give us a general idea. So let's go ahead and pick up our larger brush, and we're gonna start with the sky. So again, I want it to be a nice sunset. So we are going to take a lighter yellow. We're gonna mix white and yellow. And I want the sun to be kind of right down here. So I'm just gonna go leave like a white circle here. I'm going around with my really light yellow. And I'm just gonna take this light color and spread it all over here. Now it doesn't matter if we're running into the trees or the telephone poles, because those are gonna be so dark that they're gonna cover the sky. So don't worry about that. I'm gonna now mix in a little bit of a reddish orange here, maybe a pink. So I'm just gonna take that here and go again around the area. And I'm just making a dotted motion, maybe some swipes to be clouds. And I'm just gonna make sure we don't go all the way to the edge. That's my preference, but you're welcome to go all the way. I just like to leave a little bit of a white space. And I'm gonna take my wet brush and go all the way where I want it to be towards the top. So now that we have a little bit of a foundation, I'm just gonna take a little bit of blue here, maybe mix it with red, and just start dotting that towards the top. I'm just gonna take a little bit of a lighter red version of that and start blending that underneath. So with watercolor, kind of like you're seeing, I move pretty quickly just because I want the paint to be wet while we're adding it in so that it blends nicely. So if you need to maybe just watch at first and then pause the video and then do it, you're welcome to do that. I just find that when the paint is wet, it just blends so much better. Now I'm taking a little bit of an orange tone by just mixing that with yellow and red, a little bit of white. I just like to have a big arrangement of pigments when we're doing a sunset. There's so many beautiful colors in the sky when the sun is going down. Living here in Indiana, because it's so flat, I feel like we're able to see pretty good sunsets and sunrises. One perk to not having mountains around. You know, I'd love to live near the mountains or maybe go visit. I really haven't been to too many like mountainous areas, so that's something I'd like to go visit. Let me know in the comments what your favorite part about where you live is. I think it's important to find just beauty in your surroundings. That's where I draw a lot of the inspiration for my artwork, is from my Midwest surrounding. So if you're an artist, I think it's just so important to enjoy what's around you. That way it can show that beauty in your work. Okay, I am really loving the blend on this sky. I think the colors are so gorgeous. I'm going to move on to our tree line, and we want these to be really dark trees. So I'm going to actually start with more of like a reddish hue of green, or orangey. We want the lighter part of the tree to be towards the sun. So I'm going to make kind of finding what color I want here. I'm mixing green and red, maybe even a little bit of orange. And I have this kind of burnt orange tone now that I want to tap in to our trees here towards the sky. As we go down, we're gonna make it a lot darker, but this kind of represents, you know, the sun shining through the trees. And I think it just kind of gives it that extra dimension. And instead, rather than making all of them the same tone and dark color, I think having this nice change in tone is going to help our painting have a little bit more interest. So I'm just pulling that color down a bit. And now let's go ahead. I'm going to clean it up with my thinner brush in a bit. But while the paint is wet, I want to blend it with our darker green color. So I'm just taking green and black and brown, and we're just going to mix up this dark green color. And I'm adding that in towards the bottom of our tree line here. So we want this to blend well. We don't want to cover up all of the red that we laid down, but we are just going to work it up towards the top so that it blends. And once we lay this green down, we're going to even go in with more darkness. So see how that red is just kind of shining through at the top? It really looks like the sun is in between the trees, and that's what we're going for. Now I'm going to take an even darker green. So we're taking green and black, a little bit of brown, maybe even a little bit of blue here. That blue tends to add some good dimension in your shadows. So we're just going to add that towards the bottom here. I think it's a little bit too blue for my taste, so I'm just going to go in with a bit more brown. And I'm just, again, adding that in here around the bottom. I don't want to go all the way up towards the big trees with this really dark color. I'm kind of keeping it more at the bottom, and then I'm going to dot that a little bit. We just want to make sure that we've got both highlights and shadows when we're working with watercolor. So we, at least I personally, don't like to have everything the same shade of color. I like to have a lot of variation, and I think that just adds depth to our painting. So we see how here I'm leaving the area a little bit lighter, but then some areas I'm going in between and adding that dark green. Okay, so I'm going to take my thinner brush here and just kind of clean up the red part of the tree. So I'm going to take that burnt orange tone again, and I'm just going to add that in a little bit more here throughout, just cleaning it up. So I want the top of the trees to maybe be a little bit more pointy, and I want it to blend a little bit better. So I might even take my finger to kind of dot it out a little bit. I do that a lot with my paint. the top here to be a little bit more pointy. And I want the tops here to be seen, so I'm just adding that red tone above our green, maybe even a little bit throughout here. And this is really starting to take shape, and I am excited to add in our telephone poles. I think that's just going to be a cute little addition. Makes it look real. I am happy with how our trees look. If you need to pause and continue working on it, you're welcome to do so. I'm going to just mix up our brown color for the telephone pole. So taking a little bit of black and brown. I want it to be kind of that muted brown color. I'm going to start with that and just take my thinner brush and make our straight line here as straight as you can. It's okay if you mess up a little bit. Sometimes it makes it look a little bit more natural. Try not to put too much pressure on myself to make everything perfect. You know, watercolor is meant to be fun. And I think I used to put a little bit more pressure on myself than I needed to back when I first started learning it. I don't know, I think I wanted everything to look perfect immediately, and watercolor is one of those mediums that you really just need to practice a lot. It takes time to learn and get used to, you know, everyone's different with their water to paint ratio, and I think your hand just learns the motions like the longer that you do it. And yeah, just give yourself time and patience. I'm just adding in a little bit of black to our telephone pole. You know, the sun is setting, it's, you know, going to be a little shadowy, so we're adding that shadow here. Okay, so for the lines, I had to go look for this brush, but I want to take an even smaller one. So this is a size 1, and if you have that or even the size 0, we're going to use something really tiny for our lines because we want them to be very thin. So I'm just taking a black, maybe even mix it with a little bit of blue and white. We don't need it to be too stark black. And I'm just going to lightly make our lines here. Now, we do want a really thin brush because I think that when you are trying to paint something that's, you know, thin and it ends up not being as thin as you like, it can look it can make your painting look a little clumsy. I have made that mistake a lot when I had a brush that was too big, and it just kind of ruined my painting when I thought it was going to be a lot thinner of a line and it wasn't. So we're taking this thin brush and I am making it, you know, thicker a little bit towards the pole and then making it almost look dotted here in the middle, as if some of the sun were hitting it and you can't see the whole thing. There's like the little other pole that goes out here, so kind of adding that here. So then we're just going to take it and continue going out, and I'm making it go a little bit wider as it comes towards us over here, and then we're gonna make it go thinner on the left side like that. Now while we have our thin brush, I'm just going to clean up the pole a little bit where I see it's a little bit bumpy. So I'm just taking that thin brush and going straight down. Now, this painting it's inspired by the last day of my corporate job when I went to FedEx to turn in my laptop. I never had to see that laptop again, but as I walked out the doors to FedEx, there's this beautiful sunset. Kind of like God was like, yes, you are ready to be an artist. And I hope that you found some joy in doing this with me because I thought it was a lot of fun. So we are all done with our sunset painting. I love how it turned out, and I actually want to frame this and keep it, I think. And I hope you join me for my next video. Now that our painting is complete, I hope you all walk away with a beautiful watercolor sunset. This piece of art will be great framed in your home, or you can gift it to a friend, but I had a lot of fun painting it and I hope you did too. I'd love to see all of your beautiful paintings, so feel free to find me on social media at Emily Winslow Art, and also leave a comment below what else you would learn how to paint, and I'd be happy to make a tutorial on it. And as always, I'd love if you like this video and subscribe to my channel. Until we paint again next time.